the next one would be on consumer and its expectations, and for which I'm going to be calling up on stage Mr. Mahesh S. Anand, the President of Nippon Paint India Private Limited from the Decorative Division. Can we have Mr. Mahesh S. Anand on stage, please? Okay, joining him would be Mr. Murugan, the CEO of Southern Health Foods. Louder, please. Yes, thank you. I also request Mr. Vinoth Vasanth, the Managing Director of Vasanth & Co. to join them on stage. Ms. Sripriya Swaminathan, the Senior Director of Mindshare. Mr. Ramsai Panchapakesan, the Senior VP and National Head Integrated Media Buying, Zenith Media. Mr. Chidambaram Natesan, the Head of Business, Arha Tamil, Arha Media. And last but not the least, the moderator of this panel discussion, Mr. Shankar B, the CEO of Fourth Dimension Media Solutions Private Limited. A big round of applause to all our panelists.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see so many people in my panel, known faces. First time getting to see Sripriya here. Welcome, Sripriya. Okay, the session will last for about 40 minutes, and I'm not going in any order. I'm just going to start with Vinoth Vasanth. Vinoth, we've all admired your brand. More than the brand, we've been a great fan of your dad. And in this August gathering, we terribly miss him. He's been for all our events and functions and all that. See, you actually share a very unique position here. You're also a broadcaster. You also own the country's largest retail chain, right? I think it deserves a very big applause. Vasanth & Co. is the country's largest retailer of all products. And what I wanted to understand from you is, what is your expectation from today's consumer? And what do you think is he expecting from you?
First of all, sir, there is no differentiation between Vasanth & Co. and Mr. Vasanth & Co. because he is the brand. We have never endorsed any celebrity or sports person. That's not in our foray. We've always, Dad was the brand ambassador. So what is the main ideology behind his face in everywhere? Like Dad used to say, like, he enters my showroom, who will give him the confidence to come into my showroom? There needs to be a face. I can't be everywhere. So you come into my store. If you get good service, you will appreciate me. If I give a bad service, of course, the comments are going to be negative, but you will have someone to blame. Whereas the rest, you have no one to blame. So the customer, whatever he is, good or bad, will come back again. That was his ideology. Good or bad, he'll come back again because there is a face. So that he'll come back again. So what he expects from the customers is what everyone expects, loyalty. That we give through. We follow the tradition of, we always have, our ads always go out with the nostalgic effect. Our famous ad also. Yes. That's completely idea of Dad. That was for our 40th anniversary. And the ad concept was simple. I started 78. I ran through the biggest uprise was during the end of 90s and 2000. And now, what is it? So that was the concept given by Dad. So when we structure that, we were expecting from the consumer is the only thing. See, I was there then. I was still here now with the same attitude as I started. So that's what we expect from the customer. What our end was advertising. And the customers recognized it. Yes, I know, sir. I know, sir. I know Vasanth, sir. I know Anachi. He is called Anachi. So I know Anachi. I know Anachi. That word of mouth, that's our bless. That's what we got from that ad and from the consumer. And from our end, what we expect is the customer should, what do you say, the loyalty part, it's nowadays is getting jittery due to the online and as well as competition as well from pan-India dealers. So nowadays, the consumer behavior, what we do is we do it from the purchase, what they do. We follow with the data. So for us, the personal connect is more important, but nowadays it's more data driven. So in the future, we were just wondering that why we will be losing the personal touch. That's our main concern. From the broadcasting side, of course, everyone wants TRP. As simple as that. Everyone wants a rating.
Unfortunately, we have nobody from Park here. you can be very, very open, and of course, we have two big agency wizards.
Yes.
and
And the agency recognizes that.
and there's a channel, I think there's NDTV here, which has absolutely no belief in Park, and they're still doing very well.
Yes.
And yeah, I completely get your point. But so your consumers today, if you go through data, if you go through various aspects of the purchase, are they more discount driven, or do they still believe in some amount of quality?
Sorry?
Do they believe in quality, or like for example, you take today, you are strongly driven by discount and
Yes.
so that must be playing somewhere, right?
That's the main part of it. Now the customer, whoever wants a new customer, anyone who wants to join, who wants to come and purchase in our store, is driven by the discounts and the freebies which is given now. That has been, what do you say, like, it's been, I don't know if it is for good or bad, but nowadays without a gift, selling a product will be much more difficult. Even though the products are world class, the brands are the same everywhere, the personal, the each and every store, what they give the best. I can't keep on cutting prices because I have to handle my overheads as well. So I don't know what customer, we are giving the best we can, but the customer is on the second thought, now younger generation, like comparatively to the mobiles, rather than the panel and...
Your generation.
No, younger than me.
Okay.
So they are not loyalty driven to the brand. They were just driven to the product, whichever is more highlighted or more advertised is getting sold. So in the past couple of years after COVID, we were really struggling. All the industries were struggling. But we were, the consumer support which we got after we came back was good. But not the latest, what do you say, like 2000 mobile generation we were not able to pull. So we now then changed our strategy to reach to the younger audience. But still we haven't gone digital yet. But hopefully we will be going digital this year.
Murugan, moving from consumer electronics to FMCG. See, there are a lot of changes you, as a brand marketer, you get to see in today's consumer. The same question what I posed to Vinoth, I'm asking you the same question. Do you think the consumer today is taking advantage of the current scenario? Or, I understand the consumer today is not loyal to anybody. And so what are the changes you get to see? And how are you handling it? Because why I'm asking you this question, you are an FMCG brand, you need to advertise every month, you have very limited money, if my understanding is right. You're competing with the who's who, but at the same time you have a consumer who keeps changing, who's wavering. So,
see, what's interesting is the context. Consumer always is evolving, right? To whatever stimulus you're giving them all the time. But the context to it is three big things. One, obviously, the explosion of digital as a space. Second, COVID plus the e-commerce boom. This has changed the entire context for the evolution curve of consumers. The big shifts that we see, the way at least we kind of envisage it is one, there's a little bit of a shift from, you talked about discounts, a little bit of shift from discount is a given, but they're also seeking value, which means I may not be buying the cheapest, but the one which is the tastiest. I may be not.
I have a question. So today, are we as consumer, are we to assume that any product which is expensive is assured of good quality?
Not at all. That's I'm answering it in a way. See, the way consumers looking at it is, it's not the cheapest, but the product which is the tastiest. It's not the cheapest, but the product which has the ingredients that I want. It's not the cheapest, but the one which is consistently giving the 50% taste product that I get. So there's a big shift happening in terms of consumers' perception of value, what you're giving. So people don't have to worry if there's 30%, I have to give 35 to sell. No. If you have to give what you're giving, and you have to compete with equivalent products in total value. So if you're able to understand total value delivery, a big thing is also the price. That's one big shift that we see. A second shift we see is information. People know so much more today, about where it's available between e-commerce and the store, which product is good, which product is bad, what is added sugar, what are the top 3 ingredients. So I'm actually amazed in the last 2 years about the information availability on the average with consumers. That's a big shift. Linked to it is obviously health consciousness has gone through the roof, and nobody had to advertise turmeric or anything, right? So the overall understanding on ingredients, Ayurveda, generally has gone up.
So everybody is a doctor.
Correct. The fourth shift that we see also is that, instant, whether it's Swiggy, Instamart, whether it's instant food, whether it's wanting products, in one day in Flipkart and Amazon, whether it's calling a guy from your department store and receiving it, there is a need to be instantly, serviced. And little bit of an Ernst & Young report also said that the experience to people today, whether it's a digital buying experience, I call somebody an order, I get the product in what shape when it comes in courier, the entire experience has become a very big thing. So these are basically shifts. But the way I see it, I don't think people should get caught into the fact that the cheapest sells. There is a lot of fight on discounting everywhere, and you talked about it. I think it's a big trap because people are paying for what they're getting, and they know it, the consumers know it best. Do we know it is the trick? And if these shifts are what is happening, agencies and marketers, both sides, have to clearly gear up to optimize it.
Now I'm coming to my favorite subject. I have 2 big agency people here. I'll start with the lady. A lot of agency friends here. Okay, now Sripriya, do you agree that media agencies today have just been reduced to buying inventory? I'll complete. Today, whether you take Vinoth, you take Mahesh is smiling, you take Murugan. So what happens today, 60% of the decision making still rests with clients. So you, as an agency, you've just been reduced to buying inventory.
No, I don't agree on this point.
Okay.
Because I'm like pure agency person. I've always been worked in agency. I know how much, work we do to create one campaign. So it is, I don't agree on this point. So it is just a campaign launch or a product launch or a store launch, which I just did for IKEA. So behind that, agency works on so many things like your consumer understanding, your brand strategy, your consumer understanding and everything. And we do marketing understanding also. We work on lots and lots of data. We ask data from client itself, to analyze the market and do the, proper planning. Buying is just the part of, that project. And this comes later part. First, we do entire analysis. Then we go with the plan, the opportunities in the market, platforms, which kind of creative you should use on which kind of platforms. Then the buying and planning comes under the picture.
So you disagree? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to you on that. Okay, now Ramsai. As a media agency, today's consumer, so they spoke from consumer's point of view. Today, the consumer is evolving. The client is even more evolving. Okay, now, the client's demands are, which goes beyond expectations. You can say it openly, yes or no. Okay, there are three big lines here.
Yeah.
So now, so now when you get into that, I will not use the word trap. So what comes first? So either you have to do a very powerful balancing act, right? So every time when a client goes for a pitch, I can say that because I have three big friends here. Every time when a client goes for a pitch, the first call which comes to broadcasters saying client has gone for a pitch to reduce the rates by 15%. Correct? I'm sure everybody will agree. Okay, 15 is I'm being very generous. It starts from 15, it goes up to 30, 35%. The next time when that agency goes, then again the rates are reduced. So that balancing act, so do you really feel there is value in what you're doing? I'm taking a cue from what she's doing. She might disagree, I'm not disregarding the work what you people are doing, but the point is, today, while how much will you do? How much are you able to do?
So no wonder, Shankar, why Mr. Goswami is your close friend. I must say this. Okay, fine. See, when you look into the reality in life, people always call it as, it is a pitch and it is a competitive pitch. See, everyone exists here to extract value in one or the other forms. That extraction, the ways of extraction actually varies between a client to a consumer to a agency, how they actually operate in that whole ecosystem, right? And also the modulation, when the articulation which happens to the market, like, I've never called anyone there are, I'm sure, some broadcasters here, and people can openly raise their hands if that is. I never, trained my team, or for that matter, myself, have called somebody and asked for that, and the client has gone for a pitch and I need to reduce the rate. No. So the way that, we handle is that, the client is, every time it is not a pitch only on the account of, a reduction of a price. There are a lot of other, back-end analysis is there when you look into their raw material procurement, when you look into their staffing expenditure, when you look into their distribution chain, expansion program, everything comes at a cost, right?
So you are basically agreeing to the fact that pitches are good.
Yeah, it is healthy practices.
Good, okay. Yeah. Whoever clients are here, okay, no, this is, okay, good. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's an healthy practices. The pitches needs to be there, and it needs to, otherwise we don't have a job. Huh? So that's one. And a second is when it comes to a demanding, and I actually put, always consumer, whenever there is a demand, consumers are the best people to, express their demands in various forms. When you look into the consumer, there are, category of, product we actually handle. I handle across, categories, right from CPG to durables to an auto to one digital to one, actually you name everything, in the last 20 years I have actually worked upon. Consumer is always at a center. When I joined this industry, this was told to me by my mentor, and today also they are at a center. It has not changed. Only we think the world has changed. That is the way that we actually see the world, right? And the second point is, as I just, wanted to, echo and, if you don't mind, Mr. Vasanth, slightly disagree on the second point that, the discounts. Discounts are, consumers are not seeking only in the form of price reduction. So, classic example, yesterday me and my son went for a shopping and we just wanted to buy a shirt, and in the same mall that,
Sorry, buy what?
Me and my son went to buy a shirt for himself, right?
Not a mobile phone.
Not a mobile phone for sure. So, the take from there for me was that, there was an offer which was running, and they said that, buy two and get two free. It's a very famous shop, right? It's a branded outfit. Then, I never questioned the outlet retailer that, do I have to buy two and to get free. My son went into the counter and he asked, do I need to buy two? If I want to buy only one, what will you give? He said, we will give you the pro rata price for you. This was not there.
He's son of Ramsai. He must have seen you negotiate with all broadcasters like us, and you must have told that you give one paid, you get one bonus free, or you get 2:2. That's why he's been very smart. He's gone and told him. Let's accept it.
So he, paid only for the shirt what he wants to buy. And that's what, I understood. That's where I see a consumer, right? Consumer wants to buy what they want to buy, when they want to buy, what is there for their need. Anything that we push beyond their need, they don't feel value in it. And it is not only from the form of, price reduction, it is also from the value offerings to the consumer. So in that way, for me, if I have to say, consumers are more demanding than anybody in this whole ecosystem.
Great. Now I have Chida here. Chidambaram is the business head of Arha Tamil. And, I've always wanted to ask you this question. When you actually started OTT 4 or 5 years back, when we were just writing it on our blackboard, what is OTT, over the top and all that. So today when me and my team, when we travel, ROTN, while we all talk about that, that's one thing which I think Vishal is here, my friend Chinchu. Every time, when they say that digital has grown, it's gone to the next level, it's hit sky. Tomorrow, if you don't advertise in digital, the world will come falling down. But the next campaign, Netflix, with the first channel, they'll take us television. They'll take hoarding. Then they'll take the rest. So today, have you ever witnessed, Chida, when you take your product to smallest of towns, I'm sure there are still comparisons between, like for somebody, I don't want to name ROTN clients, will say that I'll put 5 lakh rupees on your platform. You're still not AVOD, right? The moment you go AVOD, versus putting 5 lakhs on any other genre. I will not say it's an unfair comparison. Does that still exist? Despite we growing digital nation, digital India?
So before even addressing this question to you, just want to take up from whatever they've been discussing, because I understand the consumer, okay? So
I'm expecting some crossfire here.
No, I'm just talking about bringing back your question, taking from whatever they've been discussing. Okay, today if you look at it, we are in the storytelling business. We are in a content business. So for us, content is a king, end of the day. But taking from everyone, now consumer has become a queen for us, okay? So their needs, their demands, and it's almost become like a personalization today. So everything has become very personalized, okay? So we have to understand each and every consumer behavior, and then we have to now tell the stories for the consumer. From this take, okay, that's what we are as a OTT industry is trying to reach out to each and every consumers. So we want to be the best storytellers, and the OTT industry is moving in that direction, okay? So when you talk about a personalization, okay, from the current growing medium, if you look at it, the small towns, basically, the tier 1, tier 2, and 3 cities is where the growth lying in. So the personalization becomes more important in each and every storytelling. So when the compelling stories, the compelling content reach out the medium gives the strength, and also the consumer starts engaging with the medium. The personalization is a differentiation factor. Yes, still we are talking about which medium to do. The medium is growing. The pandemic has really helped the medium to garner the kind of traction we want. We will say that is the initial driver. But moving forward, more of personalization and more of personally reaching out to the consumer with the storytelling, this medium will pick up right now. So still the preference towards reaching out to the mass audience prefers the main medium, but sooner or later, the medium of we have been operating on will pick up the space.
Yeah, great. Mahesh, yep. I wanted to ask you this question on CSK partnership and Nippon Paints. So wherever, whichever forums we've been together, wherever you've spoken, it's a very pride moment for you. To what extent is it benefiting the consumer? And I'm sure it creates a lot of hype and so on and so forth. Just take us through that.
Thanks, Shankar, and good afternoon, everyone. Before going into this answer, because I think I need to make it very clear to this audience here, we are in a category where the customer or the consumer's preference or consumer involvement is very, very negligible. As soon as it comes paint or painting, it's basically a painter or a dealer who decides, or maybe an architect or an interior designer or an engineer. So when we wanted to start this campaign in Tamil Nadu, which is a state strategic campaign, we wanted to associate with brands which are very close to the Tamil audience or Tamil people. So we started in 2016, and that time CSK was already a popular brand, and the players like Dhoni and Thalai, we call it as Thalai, and Suresh Raina at that point of time was called a Chinna Thalai.
You don't want them to do whistle pode? If anybody wants to do, they can do.
Yeah, so they are become like one of the family members of all the Tamil audience, and IPL was happening for a 3 months period, which is our first painting season. So the first tick we made was we need to take CSK as our brand vehicle to drive Nippon Paint into the homes. Nippon Paint, as the name, it's a paint brand, and it is a Japanese brand, so playing a regional role, in the sense like an international brand playing a regional role, which is very, very important, and you will not see Nippon Paint outside Tamil Nadu anywhere. I mean, the noise or the brand investments we don't do outside Tamil Nadu. Just now we have started Karnataka. And then we did another research saying that who should be my brand ambassador? So a lot of names came, Rajinikanth, Kamala Hassan, Dhoni, everybody came. Like, the amounts were sky high. And then finally, the research, it came from a consumer. That was very surprising when we did a research. A consumer said, already we had a blobby at that point of time. Blobby is basically a drop of a paint, which becomes a blobby, the character. He said, you have a nice, blobby, which is very unique from other brands. When I say other brands, all other paint companies, even today, if I put all the paint brands and the brand ambassadors, you will identify the brand only by the brand ambassador. If it is Shah Rukh Khan, if it is this company. If it is Saif Ali Khan, this company. If it is Katrina Kaif, this company. If it is Amitabh Bachchan, this company. If you remove that brand ambassador...
But Asian Paints did have a mascot, right?
They don't have a mascot. I mean, that was long back. Now they don't have the mascot. It was a common man mascot.
Correct.
It was not that Gaddu. So they removed it, and now it is Ranbir Kapoor. If you remove Ranbir Kapoor, you will not, a common man will not relate it to Asian Paint. So we brought in Blobby as a brand ambassador, and we integrated Blobby with CSK. So last 5 years, we have been with CSK, and every year when the IPL season happens, we make a commercial, wherein CSK players will be there, Blobby will be part of it. Blobby will be playing cricket. And my other commercials also are other commercials. Blobby became a household name. So now I'm coming to my first statement. The consumer involvement into paint category was very, very less than 2%. We tried to move the needle to at least about 4%. Today, every month we get 1 or 2 emails, a mother asking for her daughter or her son's birthday, a Blobby as a gift. And we send the Blobby to as a gift, and we run a lot of Blobby campaigns for the consumer. Just for the Blobby, they buy my product.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we also launched a product with a Blobby in it. So consumers have started benefited. Coming to CSK, we joined them from 2016, 17 onwards. By the time they were very successful. So CSK is something which is made my brand very close to the consumer and other stakeholders like painters and dealers. During that four months period, we'll run a lot of campaigns with the painters. We give them memorabilia, like a lot of gifts we operate to the painters. If they buy this much liters, they get a match ticket earlier days. Now it has been all bio bubble, but earlier days we used to give a stadium ticket for a painter, and maybe a hospitality ticket for my dealer. So this is how we involve them, and they hardly get an opportunity to match a IPL match. And that's the way we did it. And then we went one step ahead, and then when CSK campaigned the yellow powder, we launched a color which is synonym with yellow, CSK yellow, and we called it a CSK yellow, which no other brand had. It's very easy to replicate that, but still, Nippon Paint has the license to make a CSK yellow. And during this 4 months period, at least about, my sales of that particular yellow color skews up by 10%. And there was one CSK fan, he's basically from Nagarkovil, and he's working in some Dubai or Abu Dhabi. He traveled all the way, he painted his entire home with that interior exterior with yellow. The same yellow. So today, as the digital content, everything comes in, so during this time, we create a lot of digital contents. Recently, we did one YouTube content called Masala Roast by Shraddha. I think there's one social media person as called stand-up comedian in Karnataka, and one person from Tamil Nadu. So both of them will, they will do a Masala Roast between CSK and RCB, because in Karnataka, we are sponsors for RCB also. So basically, Nippon as a brand, we are fighting against a market leader. I can say the name here, Asian Paints, which is in the minds of people, almost 100%.
Vishal, did you hear it? He said Asian Paints.
Why? He is doing Asian Paints. I know. Okay, so for me to take the brand beyond that, I need something very common which the consumers, the customers, or the local people adore. And that's the way I see the CSK Association has benefited a lot. Similar way, my RCB Association also. We recently, just this year we did a TVC with Raghu Jixit. He's a popular Kannada folk artist. And it's a rage there. It's become huge hit. And people, youngsters, everybody are, having the jingle in Kannada. So we wanted that, and it has fetched us results. Both in the consumer mind, dealers, of course, we have a lot of promos. During that, we decorate their shops with that arches, that blobby will be there, and we have a selfie booth in the dealer shops. And we bring in some sort of augmented reality, where a customer who buys particular amount of paint, augmented reality he get a photo with Dhoni, which he never can do in his life. So Dhoni will be giving a blobby, and this guy will be taking it, and we can pick a selfie. So these are the integrations we work, and that's why our brand has been quite successful in Tamil Nadu with the association of CSK.
My next question is for Murugan and Vinoth. I promise I'll ask you only one. I'm asking you another one. So what are the radical changes, Murugan, which both of you would get to see in a consumer? And how is your consumer, I'm saying both consumer durables and FMCG, is he really able to cope up with the digital uprising? Digital uprising, what is happening today. I think I'll start with Vinoth first.
Can you say that again?
I'm saying how well is your consumer able to cope up with the digital uprising? There's so much of digital. We are all talking digital today. But see, today, I know Murugan does a lot of, I know you also do. Are you just doing it for the sake of doing, because I also need to tick that box? I need to be present in the digital space, or what is it? Is your consumer really looking at, is he getting some benefit, some value out of your digital efforts?
Yeah, now the digital, after the pandemic, the digital has picked up. Okay. You're not going to deny it. See, if you're not there in the digital space, you're going to get lost. That's going to happen. The thing is, since we've been here for 45 years, and we've been with store-wise, you have the touch and feel product. That's our foray. We train our staff for everything. We greet the customer, and you specify the skills. But now, like Sir said, everyone has their information in their hand, palm of your hand, and you have all your the other places where you can get the same product as well. So whenever your competitors or someone else is trying to push the product which you sell according to through a digital marketing phase, so immediately the question rises, why haven't we started it? Why haven't we started it? So is it because we are not dropping any sales, but the idea behind this digital marketing is more powerful than the tradition.
But as for our sake, whenever you do traditional marketing, we get our results. So we are in a dilemma. But yes, the digital marketing is growing up, and we have to have our foot in. But how do we take it? We can't just go and throw money in some big brand, big forum and...
There are good agencies here, they'll help you.
So I can't go directly to... See, we did a campaign with Google as well. See, so we are in our next phase, we are planning to go along with all the digital teams so that we need reports from both our sides because we are not going to see the customer directly. So they're going to place our ads. So it's the first thing I said is more data driven. So that phase, even from my company, I'm saying like we are very small at it. We haven't started our entire campaign budget. It is not even 1%. We are not spending on digital. But we are looking into it. The space is there. But the only thing is we are worried about is retention. How much are we going to get back? Impression, yes. In now digital phase, everyone can give you impression. Wherever you can throw, you can see the ad, they can give you banners, they can give you anything. But what's going to do that to my business? See, if I put a paper ads, I know paper or television ads. See, I don't know how many people are saying. That's the advantage of digital. I know how many people are getting my advertisements, looking at my advertisement. But the traditional is I'm getting my sales up. But when I do a digital campaign, I don't get my sales up. For myself, for my company alone. Because we tried 4 campaigns, that's why. But that's, that's where digital market is key, it's important.
Actually, sorry, I just want, this is a very interesting topic. Even though I'm from the old school of thought, I mean, because of my age and other things, by the way, I'm not so aged. For me to learn this, it took a bit of time. You know, I was just talking to Swastiha just about during the lunchtime. The moment I heard AI, I said, I'm sorry, I don't talk me too much on that. I will be not able to connect with you. But paint as a category today, my painter, you know, there are about, roughly in Tamil Nadu, about 2 lakh painters are there. Out of 2 lakh painters, 75,000 painters are on my, you know, program, loyalty program, where they're connected through a mobile technology. Whenever they buy, they just have to scan the barcode, immediate points, immediate redemption. Immediate redemption is he just have to redeem. There is a DBT which is linked to his mobile. The amount is paid. It's so instant. Coming to the consumers, in fact, she was talking about the product, what she was offering. So I was able to Google and see that product. The product, what she was talking was basically sitting at the room, sitting at your, in your living room, you can get the design of your living room changed and get it offered by somebody. Paint by Nippon Paint, furnitures by Pepper Fry, Venetian blinds by somebody else, everything sitting at your living room.
A news channel is Pudhiya Talemurai.
And for all information, there are a lot of companies which are into it. Like I did one with Home Lane, no trouble at all. You know, everything is digital. I really enjoy the experience what they give me. As a consumer, I enjoy the experience. Hassle-free during COVID times. The another advantage in digital is during COVID times, both the lockdowns, my painter community is the most informal, unorganized community. We help them giving grocery through the digital mode. In the remotest place like remote Nagarkovil, Tuticorin, Amalapuram. So the guy has to go to a grocery store and we pay them, the grocery store directly. He can buy the grocery from there. Yep, thank you.
Yeah. See, the way to look at it is digital has impacted everybody. But if you look at the 3 triumvirate, your consumer, your company and your agency, with the company it's very clear. The way I put it to everybody is that if you're a big brand, be on your guard. If you're a small brand, you get a lot of hope. Because it's kind of leveled everything. You know, today you could actually shake up the 100-year and 70-year-old brands digitally. Simply because you're allowed to put your product right next to him, product or service. So from a company point of view, they have to wake up. They have to understand what the consumer is asking. See, the he's talking about old age. The rules don't change. Where the consumer is changing, but his mind is still the same. So if you can figure out digital, the way it's working, it's the same consumer. The second thing, agencies. I mean, there would be a lot of agency guys are here. You have to be extremely careful about how you target these guys. And the second big thing is, you're going to have a lot of money which is going to go into digital. Are you able to attribute it correctly? And trust me on it, we used to sell 100 crores of pizzas in my earlier company. Only 20% of the spends were attributable. It is not easy to attribute the digital spends exactly. The third, from a consumer point of view, it's very clear. It's merry in a way, because there's no middleman. There's no somebody charging an extra penny. So the digital has leveled whatever you want to buy. He's talking of painters. I'm waiting for having spent a year in Nerolac, I'm waiting for a painters app where, you don't have any company, where the painters pretty much can decide on an app. So the consumer point of view, two things are extremely important, and there's no easy way to say it. First is UI, UX, and the second is value. Whatever you're selling it to them in a website, in an app, in a mobile, there's so many versions today. How quickly, and the customers are very different. Somebody wants to explore, somebody wants to buy and get out, somebody wants to look only at the deal page. How do you optimize, therefore, to this consumer to facilitate faster transactions is going to be a very big key. And value. Today he's going to compare. If it's a store, he's going to compare store with Flipkart and Amazon. He's going to, even within the store, he's going to compare 5 brands. He's going to have companies which are going to say, I'll compare and give you before you buy your next fridge or something. So if you can get all the three, the customer, of course, is what he is, but if you can understand him, if you can understand your other companies, what they're doing, and if agencies can support in both the targeting as well as attributing, I think this is going to change a lot of industries in the next few years.
Super. I've been warned by Chitra to wind up in 15 minutes, right? Or am I late already, Chitra? I have just 2 questions. One for Chida. Chida, see, this is one very interesting trend, what we get to see in OTT. See, as long as you don't replenish the fresh content, a lot of people unsubscribe the app. But the same logic doesn't hold in television. There are serials which are running in so many television channels today, I guess for close to decades. And people are used to it because it delivers GRPs, correct? And it delivers GRPs, and no matter who is watching it, it can be a 70-year-old person. As long as it delivers GRPs, agencies are happy and clients are also happy. We'll talk about that later. Okay, now when we talk about content, so how, what do I say, how agile is your medium? You should be. And because if it is not exciting, then he just moves. For you to bring him back, to acquire a customer, it's a very tough job. So just take us through that, and then one last question and we'll wind up, Chitra.
Yes. So the medium we are in is a momentum medium. And if you are not going to engage the customers, yes, the tendency of moving out of your platform, yes, is visible. So that is where our platform strategy, because Karthik also highlighted it. That's where we have come with a strategy of weekly 1 new release. So that is our strategy, is a clear winner for us, where we are engaging customers. So now engaging customers is one of the key for us. It is going to take a little time right now. The original space is going to pick up a lot. That's where now we are going behind the World Digital Premier. So that making us the customers at least every 3 months once. So we have a monthly, quarterly pack. So every 3 months once we have to have a momentum builder. Or to add to it also, differently what we have done is a non-fiction as a format. None of the OTT platforms really tried a non-fiction as the original format. We tasted success. So that is where we are trying a different formats to make the consumer engage, and also to in a long term. Okay, so now we are thinking about originals being binge watch. Now we are thinking of later on how we can bring in the dailies also into a platform. So where can we engage the customer for a longer run? Yes, engaging customers is a tough challenge. So we are figuring out with the strategies and also with more content.
Great. One last question, all of them. See, today we get to see some path-breaking creatives. One side you have path-breaking creatives which are done in excess of 1 crore, 1.5 crore. And you have a brand like Vasanth. Very, very simple creative, but it hits bullseye. Okay, now what I would like to understand is, as brand marketers, each one of you are all experts in your own field. And does this really give, stickiness and loyalty in the consumer? Because when a consumer sees a path-breaking ad, he enjoys it for a moment, and then they post it and all of that. But But what will be running in his mind as a consumer?
I think I would like to take an example of a company called Pidilite. Most of you would have seen this company. It's a adhesive, And when you say adhesive, how creative can an adhesive be? But if you've seen their ads, it's like unbelievable. I mean, because of that, people will go and ask for that. And they have kept on creating this type of path-breaking, innovative concepts in the other category also. They're a competitor for me, but that doesn't matter for me. And I still remember integral waterproofing, bit technical, but just understand this concept. Integral waterproofing in a powder form, which was sold by every company, 20 rupees per kg, talking about 20 years back. Pidilite came and gave that in a liquid form. It just completely, the powder form is non-existent today. It doesn't, just vanished, and this has become a market leader today. And you would have seen this LW Plus, if you next watch this, Amitabh Bachchan is promoting that today. I mean, this is an example which I see in myself, and Asian Paint is also a classic example. If Madison has done it, kudos to them.
Yeah. Vishal, you're there. Yeah.
In fact, they sorry? Ogilvy, yeah, correct. Recently, they did something just, sorry to say that, but I need to admire somebody who's doing well, double-barreled gun, It's actually shooting at Nippon Paint.
Okay.
I mean, if you say that, he's a film actor, and that basically, they took something from the filmy background, and then they connected with that, and then, dialogue of Surya, he repeats that ad.
Okay.
Singo adichu paathirukingla அந்த மாதிரி வீடு பண்ணி பாத்திருக்கீங்களா that catches, and it has really given a impetus for that brand, and that brand went ahead. So we need to create something for complete that.
See, I agree, but one side you have this, another side you have a very simple commercial where Vasanth just turns his head and that does the talking.
That is the brand of Anachi. Nobody can beat it, right?
But the same thing that's been, like for example, people who have been loyal. I'm saying in a state like TN, you still have so many people who are competing with him. But why I wanted to ask is, so the relevance of creatives do play an important role. From a consumer's point of view, I wanted to understand, because you're all wizards here, for you to...
It plays a very, very vital role. I mean, I was talking about an example of Home Lane. There is another company called Live Space. Recently, they signed up with Virat Kohli and Anushka. In a small space, you can redefine your interiors. That's a creative ad, and because of that, they increase their sales. And there are, definitely it works.
Super. Murugan,
See, it's the oldest trick in the book, right? You have to get somebody to buy your product. So, good advertising pretty much works. Question you also asked is that enough? I think there is a big bit of a challenge with proliferation of brands. There are only this much spaces available. Like I remember the paints, they used to say, yaar, in Hindi they used to say, bahar se acha dikhna chahiye. It used to look good. It has to perform. So as a marketer, how else do you segment paints? So, no, interior, exterior, everything. Either it looks good or it has to perform, right? So advertising good advertising would get you trials and customers for sure. So good advertising is working. The second question you're asking is more important. What is the sustainability of it? Now, Fevicol managed to do that, get trials through good advertising, right? But that liquid had to do the job of the powder much better and maybe cheaper.
But there are very few can afford Piyush Pandey, no? That's also there, right? Piyush Pandey should also be affordable, but there are very few can afford.
But today, the digital world, I was just talking to somebody here who's doing wonderful cartoons. Today, you don't need so much of, you could be sitting in your house and doing talking, and that could become an ad. You won't believe it, there are so many direct-to companies which are 100 crores today, which don't use the TV medium at all. So they're kind of using influencers. So
Please don't say that.
No, I'm saying now they'll come to it because they're only selling D2C.
Please don't say that.
I'm saying they'll come to you soon. So you have a potential market.
We've just signed a couple of television channels. Those people are here. If you say that, हमारा धंधा बंद हो जाएगा.
I'll tell you, we made 1.82 crore films. We made 2 lakh films, right? I think it should a little bit of horses for courses. The push is on creativity and not necessarily on the scale. But the second part is extremely crucial. After you get that initial jump, it's the offering and somebody talked about value. It is what you're giving sustainable that's going to make it click.
I quickly have a point for what he said. Yes, on an advertisement, you will be able to talk about the features and other things. But in the digital medium, today everybody are explaining the functionality of the same feature. You know, if, for example, a washing machine does 7,000 RPM, how does that help a consumer? Which means that you can put in more clothes and your 15 clothes can be washed at a point of time. You need to explain that. That happens in the digital medium. For example, Pidilite. When they do an advertisement, they just say that this is what has been done by LW+. But if you go to a digital mode and then check the LW+, they clearly explain that LW+, what does it do? You know, when you mix cement and sand and water, there is all possibility that over dilution happens and there is no stickiness. LW+ gives that, you know, the molecular to bind better. So that's the theory, and that is explained in the digital formats. Everybody does it. I mean, for paints, people, in an advertisement, you can't explain all these things. It will be very boring. That we use it on the digital platform.
Thank you. Yes, I echo with you. Creatives work. I mean, a good creative. And like you said, maybe for some time it'll be there in your mind. You will think of it. You'll enjoy emotional connect and everything. But we should think of the sustainability also. So being a agency person, I feel that in the market there are different sets of consumers are there. One set of consumer is there who looks for, offers. Second set is there who looks for quality. And then the other set is there who looks for, he is very brand conscious. So all the sets of consumers are there, and we have such good creatives. And yes, creative works, but sustainability is very important. So we should, target all the sets of consumers, keeping in mind the consumer behavior and the market scenario and everything. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Yeah, I just leave with one thought. The low involvement category, where there is the engagement is very low. For an example, one is adhesives, other one is the tire category. Maybe there are a few of the other categories where you just can't actually, explain the, product nature to the people. There, the effectiveness of creative comes into a front play. That's what is, the creative role is. In terms of, getting the sustainability is basically, we all know that, the IPL event comes every year, right? If you would have noticed in the last 3-4 editions, 50% of the advertisers are always new. Why? It is because it is not about that the previous partners have not been able to sustain it. They've reached to a certain threshold level that then they just have to, sustain and hold them in their, platform. Then the newer set of audiences needs to be recruited. That's where the newer clients actually come into a play. That's how, every time, we tend to see a newer brands, newer advertisers coming onto IPL kind of an event. That's what it is.
One small correction. The newer advertisers come, there's one very big reason. You've also been a salesperson. Newer advertisers also come because they get good rates. Accept it at least now. Accept it at least now. The newer, ask the broadcasters. Because broadcasters, you have Anil, you have Rachit, and you have so many people
Shankar,
here.
I just put it in a different way.
They take this platform. The moment they go, they say, "Nahi, yaar, ye baad mein rakhte hain."
Mixing with Mr. Goswami. You're not allowing us to speak. So what I was, trying to say is that it is not about price and it's also about a talent that who works on your brand and business. I can give you 100 crores today. I mean, if you can't, show me a result for that 100 crores through your, planning and execution model, then, it's not about, maybe I buy at a dead cheap rate. I mean, it doesn't, mean anything to the brand, right? So again, when I say that, it's all human element, whatever, AI and anything that comes, human is indispensable in this complete ecosystem. That is one. And second, consumer is at the center, and consumer is also a talent. A talent actually comes and handles that same consumers, right? That's what, I strongly believe as a marketeer.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. A big round of applause to our panelists here. Thank you for such insightful talk on our interesting topic, consumer and his expectations. And now I would like to call upon stage Mr. Prabhu, the Regional Programming Head of Radio City, and also I would request Mr. Praveen Kumar, the DGM Marketing Radio City, to join them in honoring Mr. Mahesh S. Anand, the President, Nippon Paint Private Limited. Mr. Prabhu and Mr. Praveen Kumar from Radio City, a big round of applause to welcome them on stage. May I also request Mr. Chandan Jain from Vijay Shanti Builders to honor Mr. Vijay Vasanth. To honor Mr. Vijay Vasanth from the Managing Director of Vasanth & Co. I request Mrs. Vaishali from the Velli shop to come up on stage to honor Vinoth Vasanth, the Managing Director of Vasanth & Co. I request Mr. Ramanujam from the Durable Chrome Factory to come up on stage to honor Mr. Murugan and the CEO of Southern Health Foods. I request Mr. Pavan from Mutual PR to come up on stage and honor Ms. Sripriya Swaminathan, the Senior Director, Mindshare. I request Mr. Mohit from Havas Group to come up on stage and honor Mr. Ramsai Panchapakesan, the Senior VP and National Head Integrated Media Buying, Zenith Media. I also request him to honor our moderator of the panel today, Mr. Shankar B. Yeah. I request Mr. Pavan from the Mutual PR to facilitate and honor Mr. Chidambaram, the Head of Business, Arha Tamil, Arha Media. I request him to also honor Mr. Shankar B, the moderator of this panel discussion, Consumer and his Expectations. Thank you so much, panelists. Can we have you all pose for a picture together, all the panelists? Thank you so much, gentlemen.